kitchen.
Sometimes we went even further.
Chris edited a speech.
Jordan bought a handbag made by former inmates of a women's prison.
Perhaps that compromised us as journalists, but this project was always meant to be participatory. We engaged, and that mattered to us.
Writing Union was the last leg of our journey. Until we wrote it and reflected on what we saw and did, we couldn't fully process what we had experienced. For 3 years, this work mattered to us most, so we worked multiple jobs in order to stay on the road. We took conference calls for our day jobs from the car, then stayed up well past midnight at highway-side motels, finishing work that should have been done earlier in the day. The road is a hard place. We recognize it might have been even harder if we weren't white and male. But it is also profound, beautiful, and instructive. There was nowhere we'd rather have been.
Somewhere along the way, we realized that these road trips had changed our friendship, and that our friendship had changed the way we both saw the country. There are still things about America on which we'll never agree, and we nearly parted ways over them. But unspoken values emerged in the actions of one another and the voices of the people we met along the way. Out there, we also found there's more to America than gladiatorial politics. When we listened, we heard a nation being shaped by millions of voices, each with ideas and wisdom more complex than can be captured by the steady drumbeat of television segments, radio features, and social media posts.
Time and again, we witnessed expressions of faith in this country. At times, these expressions were unique, and at other times conflicting. But on the road, something resembling reverence existed for a collection of higher ideals, ideals that might best be called America's civic religion. Beneath the words of our founding texts, and in the canon of American speeches and literature, the melodies and lyrics that make up our musical heritage, or even the ways we explain ourselves to one another, there's a deep well of feeling that brings us closer to a singular identity, that of American.
On our last road trip, a musician in New Orleans told us something beautiful. Music brings people together, he said, because you can come at it, interpret it, and appreciate it from infinite points of view. There is no right way to take in and fall for a tune. All that matters is that you do, and what you bring to it in turn. After all these years on the road, we have come to much the same view about this country. The story of who we are as Americans can be told in a multitude of different ways, each with its high and low notes. There is no right way to look at this country and its people, just as there is no right way to tell that story. This just happens to be ours.
Our hope is that Union will play some small part in an ongoing effort to bring Americans a little bit closer together. We wrote it and reported it and remembered it with that in mind. Christopher Haugh
and Jordan Blashek.
Part 1. New Haven. Chris had a dream that he was flying and woke with a start at the absurdity of the idea. Jordan was at the wheel of the boxy sea blue sedan, and Chris was splayed out on the passenger seat. We passed into Pennsylvania, along fast, narrow roads, moments before midnight. Chris shot a look over at Jordan, whose eyes were fixed on the slalom road ahead. It was empty except for us and the long-haul trucks on their way up and down another lonesome freeway. Earlier that evening, we had meandered down the sidewalks of New York City toward Jordan's Volvo S60, which he had inherited from his aging grandfather. "It's not much," Jordan said. "The steering grinds when you make a tight turn and it's missing a few parts, but it runs." "Spacious," Chris said, opening the door. "And she can't make a U-turn. Feels like steering a boat." Our plan for the week was to drive across the country from New York City to Berkeley, California, where Chris had grown up a few hundred miles north of Jordan's family home in Los Angeles. As we shot down the avenues of the Upper East Side under orange streetlights, we threw around possible stops like Yellowstone, Glacier National Park, and parts of the Pacific Northwest. "Let's get to Chicago by morning," Jordan had said as we merged onto Harlem River Drive, and Chris had laughed aloud. But there we were, pressing on toward the Midwest through the dark woods of the Poconos a few hours before dawn. Chris had come to know over our brief 8-month friendship how Jordan operated according to his own mysterious logic. A bleary-eyed, unending drive seemed true to form, so Chris kept quiet as we drove into the gloom of morning.